Okay, there's another way of kind of controlling blotch. It helps, and you've heard me mention it. Now, a lot of guys will use mineral spirits. That works. You just got to go easy with your stain. Now, in this case, we're using oil base. And again, as we've explained, in water, what blotch controlling blotch equates to is to prevent the soft grains in the wood from absorbing more than the hard grain. And that being the case, I just wipe this with water and I have an oil-based stain. That kind of sounds kind of dumb, I know. But what it does is it allows us to kind of float the stain on, if you will. I need to stir this a little more. Be right back. All right, that was my fault. I hadn't stirred this real well. And when I reached in the top of it, well, I did stir it and then I left it set and it kind of settled back. That's indicative of stains. And so what happens is the oil kind of comes to the top and the pigment all is laying in the bottom. And so what I got was just a dose of oil. A little better. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm not really aggressively wiping this. Again, this is an oil base over water. I'm going to say it again, probably the dumbest thing you ever heard of, but it works really well. And you can see what it's doing. Now, what's going to happen is the water is going to evaporate out. It'll dry, a little slower doing it. But as the water evaporates out of it, the stain lays down. What it's doing is just keeping you from getting that really heavy coat. But go easy. Just put a light coat on. Once you've got one light coat on it, you can usually come back with a heavier coat again. The thing that's happening here is this, again, the water's just keeping it from absorbing so much. Now, with that said, at this point, I'm going to address again using an oil finish. The same technique works. You know, we've talked about this in blotch control. I'm going to wet this, but I want to show you a little something. Okay, I've mentioned to you many times of how solvents and particularly oils can react with wood. Now this is some cherry. Now we've talked about like the boiled linseed oil, and that's what a lot of these stains and a lot of these oils are formulated with. One of the problems with that boiled linseed oil is it's slow to dry. The slower it dries, the more reaction you get. But if you look right here where we've got this boiled linseed oil on here, you can see it's pretty blotchy. And as we go down the different oils, you know, here's a Danish oil that's far more blotchier than some of the others. And that, there again, Danish oil is formulated with boiled linseed oil. It's just extremely slow to dry. But what can we do? By using our little water technique, we can actually float a good oil on. Now, the key word here is a good oil. And the faster the oil dries, the less reaction we're going to get. And the less chance we have of it migrating into the soft grain. Now, there's no secret, this is my go-to oil. This is General Finish's Armor Seal. But the same thing will apply. If I'm just doing an oil finish, I can dampen my surface, take my oil, simply float it on. And if you think about what's happening here a little bit, this is one of those things that we kind of discovered totally by accident. What's happening is the oil sits on top of the water a little bit. Again, the water evaporates off and the oil settles down. Now, we've tested this numerous times for adhesion or whatever. We've never had an issue. Once the first coat of oil's on and dried, it creates a barrier. So subsequent coats aren't going to migrate. And it really helps in blotch control. It helps a lot on just an oil finish. It just works. I just rubbed a little bit of oil on that cherry so you can see it. Not super blotchy. Got a little bit, but not super blotchy. All right, that's now. If you're using, you can use the water under an alcohol base, water-based dye stain. I've used denatured alcohol. And like I said, I know a lot of guys who use mineral spirits under an oil base. My problem, I don't care for that. There's two reasons. One, the mineral spirits themselves can react with wood. It's a solvent and cause some blotching. The second reason is that the base in a oil stain is mineral oil, or mineral spirits rather. So what's going to happen is when you wet it with mineral spirits and then you use an oil-based stain over it, what's going to happen is the mineral spirits is going to intermix with your stain and just kind of thin it a little bit. It's not going to block it. So try the water thing. You may be, I know it doesn't sound bright, but it works. Give it a shot.